Hello students, welcome to Affairs Cloud. My name is Vikas. We have an app by the name Careers Cloud which you can go and download through Play Store. Once you have downloaded the application, you will be able to easily log in using your Gmail ID. Once you have logged in, you will be redirected to this page where you will be getting this UI, and there will be option for home, all courses, my courses and doubt section. On this application, you will be getting multiple PDFs, multiple content on daily basis that will be enhancing your learning. Our first segment is daily current affairs. We make sure to provide you current affairs on daily basis in both English as well as in Hindi content. The PDFs for the same are uploaded on our application, and apart from this, we also make sure to provide you with quizzes that will help you to revise the content after you have gone through the PDF. Next comes our weekly content. The content is also provided in both English as well as in Hindi, and here we also make sure to provide you quiz also of that past week's current affairs that will be enhancing your learning, as it is a compilation of the important topics, important MCQ questions for the last week. Similar for the monthly, the PDFs are very important. They provide you insights of various topics, as well as we also make sure to provide you the quiz of monthly questions that are very important for learning. Next, we also provide you with important PIB articles on daily basis so that you can go through these articles and have an insight about that particular topic. Not just this, we also make sure to provide you important events that are happening globally and make sure to give you the right analysis. One of the most important segment of our application is that we make sure to provide you with the correct exam analysis. When you are having exam, we make sure to provide you with previous year questions so that the student can go through the exam pattern and the syllabus and can prepare the exam accordingly based on the pattern. After the exam, we also make sure to provide you with the exam analysis. Then for the students who are preparing for state exams, they will be also beneficial here, as we will make sure to provide with state-wise current affairs for them. Apart from this, we also make sure to cover the topic-wise current affairs such as your national affairs, government schemes, international affairs, banking and finance, economy and businesses, as these are the topics from which the examiner definitely asks the question, and these are covered on the monthly basis. So friends, do check our application. It will be a one-stop solution for learning. Apart from this, friends, Careers Cloud is hiring. We are looking for candidates for subject matter experts in quants, reasoning and English, and also we are looking for a content creator for current affairs topic on daily basis, weekly basis and monthly basis. There is also an opening for a person who can translate the English content into Hindi. If you want to apply, you can scan the code here for further details, or you can go to the description and click the link below. These positions are available both in full-time and freelance for serious candidates. Hello everyone. So in this video we will be discussing important current affairs of 30th of April. The session will be quite interesting, so do pay attention till the end. Friends, moving forward, we have a question for you that I want you all to comment below. The question is, pick any 3 important topics that are related to International Monetary Fund, and they should be from the past 6 months data, right? And comment below in the comment section. I'll be looking at them and we will be discussing these important points tomorrow. Let's move on. First is, Department of Pension and Pensional Welfares launched an integrated pensioners portal of the Bank of India. Question asked here is that which of the following is a part of the integrated pensioners portal of this DOPPW? So which of the following is right here? It will be Bhavishya portal, right? Take a note of this. First of all, remember DOPPW, right, under the Ministry of Personal and Public Grievances and Pensions, they have launched this integrated pensioners portal of Bank of India, and this is basically in efforts of the Department of Pensioners and Pensioners Welfare to integrate pensioner portal of all the 17 pensions disbursing banks with the integrated portal of the Department of Pension and Public Welfare to ensure the ease of living of pensioners, right? And with this, Bank of India will now be working as a one-stop solution for all the services that will include your pension slip, that will include your certification submission, right? Then form 16 submission, correct? Apart with this, with the launch of this portal, a total of 5 banks stands integrated to provide services from a single window. And so far, if we look at the bank, it is SBI, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, Canara Bank along with Bank of India, right? And they have been now completed on this Bhavishya portal that was launched by Department of Pension and Pensioners Welfare. If we talk about this Bhavishya portal, this is an integrated pension and payment tracking system. This was made mandatory for all the central government departments with effect from 1st of January 2017. And as it suggests, the main aim here is to ensure the payment of all the retirement dues and delivery of pension payment order, correct, so that the retirees or the retired people, they get the pensions on time and all their balances maintained properly, correct. Apart from this, if we talk about this PM Suraj Yojana, this is Pradhan Mantri Samajik Uttham Evam Rozgar Adharit Jan Kalyan, that is PM Suraj. PM Modi virtually launched it, and this is a national portal that is aimed at uplifting the marginalized sections of the society, right? PM Suraj. Then if we talk about Swati, Swati stands for Science for Women, a Technology and Innovation. I repeat, Science for Women, a Technology and Innovation. This is a portal, correct. And Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, has launched this Swati portal, and this is a single online portal that represents Indian women and girls in the STEM. That is, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics and Medicine. Then if we talk about Paisa portal, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri launched this refreshed portal for affordable credits and interest subvention access, that is Paisa portal, and it is a dashboard that was launched here. All the analytics can be provided to here. So coming back, so far the integration of pension portal of SBI, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank and Canara Bank with Bhavishya portal has been completed along with Bank of India. So these are the 5 banks, and we have seen that Bhavishya portal, it was made mandatory from 1st of January 2017, and this ensures that the pensioners, they are getting the pensions on time, and all the office work has been carried out by this portal, right? If we talk about Bank of India, who is the managing director and chief executive officer here, Rajneesh Karnatak. Headquarter is in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and it was founded in 1906, and the tagline here is relationship beyond banking. Moving on, Ministry of Finance has accorded which status to the gem and jewelry sector. So recently, Ministry of Finance, they have assigned AEO status, that is Authorized Economic Operator status, to the gem and jewelry sector. This AEO program, this was introduced as a pilot project in the year 2011, and it was introduced by the Customs Department, that was aimed at promoting the ease of doing business, saving time and reducing the cost for export oriented industries. If we talk about this AEO program, it is a program under the World Customs Organization's safe framework of standards to secure and facilitate global trade, enhance international supply chain security and promote legitimate trade. It recognizes entities compliant with supply chain security standards and grants AEO status and benefits to the approved entities engaged in the international trade. Coming back, this Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council advocated for the industry inclusion, and out of the 20 companies that applied for the AEO status, Asian Star, a leading diamond and diamond jewelry manufacturer, became the first recipient of this AEO status in the Indian gem and jewelry sector. Correct? Asian Star. Asian Star. This was the first company that got this AEO status. Correct? So coming back, Ministry of Finance, they have granted the AEO status to the gem and jewelry sector. Right? And we have seen that this AEO program is basically to make a framework for the global trade and then supply chain to promote ease of doing business, right, in this gem sector. That is your AEO, Authorized Economic Operator status. Apart from this, remember, if we talk about International Organization for Standardization, right, Haldia Petrochemicals Limited. Haldia Petrochemicals Limited has become the first organization for standardization IEC 27001 certified petrochemical organization in India, and this certification was awarded by United Kingdom based certification body, that is BSI, British Standards Institution. Right, so Haldia Petrochemicals Limited received this ISO IEC 27001 certificate. Then next is Bureau of Indian Standards Registration. Right, so Kerala Kerala became the first state in India to have hallmarking centers in all the 14 districts. Right? What are these hallmarking centers? Basically, this checks the purity of gold. So this was achieved after the inauguration of hallmarking center in the Idukki district of Kerala, and now all the 14 districts of Kerala has hallmarking standards, that is Bureau of Indian Standard Registration. Correct? And similarly, we talk about hallmark unique identification number, this HUID, right? Basically, this consists of all alphabets and numbers. And here, remember, the sale of gold jewelry or gold artifacts without this HUID number will not be authorized after 31st of March 2023. Right? Take a note of this. I repeat, this hallmark unique identification number, what is this? This is HUID number. This consists of a alphanumeric and alpha digit number, and it is a 6-digit alphanumeric or alphabet number. Correct? It consists both alphabets and numbers, and every jewelry and every gold artifacts and gold jewelry must have this HUID number in order for you to sell it, right, after 31st of March 2023. Correct? Take a note of this. Also, following 1st of April 2023, last year, the sale of the jewelry with 4-digit HUID number will also be stopped on 1st of April. Correct? So coming back, Ministry of Finance, they accorded AEO status to the gem and jewelry sector. Right? Moving on. Next, which city and country hosted the 26th World Energy Congress? So which was it? Which country and city hosted this World Energy Congress, that to the 26th edition of the World Energy Congress? It was hosted by Rotterdam in Netherlands. It was from 22nd to 25th of April, right? And it was under the theme Redesigning Energy for People and Planet. I repeat, what was the theme? Redesigning Energy for People and Planet. Correct? It was hosted by whom? It was hosted by World Energy Council and World Energy Council Netherlands, and hosted by Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy of the Netherlands, right? So these three organizations together hosted this World Energy Congress, that was the 26th World Energy Congress held in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Correct? Take a note of this. Apart from this, if we talk about Dubai UAE, remember in Dubai UAE, the 11th edition of the World Government Summit 24 was held. It was from 12th to 14th of Feb. Correct? And PM Narendra Modi here participated at this 11th edition of the World Government Summit in Dubai, UAE. At present, Mohammed Al Gergawi, the Minister of Cabinet Affairs of UAE, is the chairman of the World Government Summit organization. If we talk about Kampala, Uganda, here remember, third South Summit was held. I repeat, recently, G77 plus China, third South Summit was held in Kampala, Uganda. And V. Muralidharan, Minister of State, comes under the Ministry of External Affairs, represented India and addressed the plenary session of the Group of 77 plus China, that is the third South Summit that was held in Kampala, Uganda. And the theme for this G77 plus China third South Summit was leaving no one behind. Theme here was leaving no one behind. Right? Take a note of this. So question can also be asked that the third South Summit, that is G77 plus China, was held by which country or hosted by which country? So Republic of Uganda hosted it. Then if we talk about Gujarat, India, Gujarat government, they have signed 41,299 memorandum of understandings for investment, correct, during the 10th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. These 41,299 MOUs, they are valued at 26.33 lakh crore, correct. And the theme of this year's 10th edition of Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit was Gateway to the Future. The theme here was Gateway to the Future. Correct? Take a note of this. Apart from this, remember, if we talk about this World Energy Congress, Who hosted the World Energy Congress? We just saw World Energy Council and World Energy Council Netherlands, along with the Ministry of Economic and Climate Policy of the Netherlands hosted it. Then remember, there was a panel set up here for discussion on the new interdependencies, trust, security, and climate resilience. And Pradeep Kumar Das, the chairman and managing director of IREDA, was representing India during this World Energy Congress. That was the 26th edition of the World Energy Congress. And here, Pradeep Kumar Das, the chairperson and MD of IREDA, was representing India during this 26th World Energy Congress. Then India proposed allocating almost 4 to 5% of the domestic pensions or insurance funds under AUM, assets under management, into renewable energy bonds to boost the bond market and attract global and local investment. Apart from this, Indian Pavilion at the Congress was inaugurated by Secretary Pankaj Agarwal, who is our Minister of Power and Ambassador of India to the Netherlands, Mrs. Rinat Sandhu. Right, I repeat, Indian Pavilion at the Congress was inaugurated by whom? It was inaugurated by Secretary Pankaj Agarwal in the Ministry of Power and Ambassador of India to the Netherlands, Mrs. Rinat Sandhu. Apart from this, Asian Development Bank, they have introduced innovative finance facility for climate in Asia and Pacific, offering various grants and guarantees for climate projects, and they have launched international finance facility for education to encourage up to $2 billion in education loan. Apart from this, lending operations expanded with outstanding loans reaching $151 billion by the end of 2023. Right, apart from this, if we talk about World Energy Congress, remember World Energy Council, remember where is the headquarter of World Energy Council? It is in London, UK. When was it established? 1923 it was established. And if we talk about Secretary General and CEO, Dr. Angela Wilkinson is the Secretary and CEO of World Energy Council. Apart from this, one more thing, remember, this was the 26th edition of the World Energy Congress. If asked about the 25th edition of the World Energy Congress, where was it held? It was held at St. Petersburg in Russia. Right, and the 27th World Energy Congress will be hosted by which country? It will be hosted by Saudi Arabia in Riyadh in 2026. Moving on. Next, RBI has maintained FPI investment cap in government securities at which of the outstanding stock for FY25. So remember, RBI kept the FDI investment limit in the government securities unchanged at 6%. At 6% of outstanding stock for FY25. What is FPI here? Foreign portfolio investment. Correct. So RBI maintained the FPI investment, that is foreign portfolio investment, in government securities at 6% of the outstanding stock of FY25. And remember, the FPI limit for the investment in the state government securities and corporate bonds. In the state government securities, I repeat, the FPI limit for investment in the state government securities is 2%, and in corporate bonds is 15%. Correct, for FY25. And as of now, all investments by eligible investors in the specified securities will be considered under the fully accessible route, that is FAR. Right, so RBI has maintained FPI investment cap in government securities at 6% of the outstanding stock for FY25. If we talk about 12%, remember, public sector banks in India, the public sector banks, they should maintain a minimum CAR of 12%, and commercial banks must maintain a minimum capital CAR of 9%. Right, that is public sector banks 12% CR, and your commercial banks, they should maintain a CAR of 9%. And every asset reconstruction company, they must maintain a capital adequacy ratio of at least 15% of their total risk weighted assets. I repeat, every ARC, they must maintain a capital adequacy ratio of 15% of their total risk weighted asset. Apart from this, the government expects the fiscal deficit of India to be 5.1% of the GDP for financial year 25, right? Take a note of this. So Government of India expect the fiscal deficit to be 5.1% of the GDP for FY25. Correct? Take a note of this. Let's move. Here you can see that RBI, they have announced that the investment limit by FPI in government securities will remain unchanged at 6% of the outstanding security stocks for FY25. Next, RBI has directed which organization to stop the issuance and operation of its prepaid payment instruments and refund the balances to their customers. So, RBI has directed Top Charge Technologies Private Limited, right? RBI has directed Top Charge Private Limited, right, to stop the issuance and operations of their PPIs, that is prepaid payment instruments or wallets, and refund the balances that was in the wallets within 45 days, and the date here is 17 of May 2024. So before this day, all the balances in the wallets of this PPIs and wallets, they should be refunded back to their customers by this 17th of May. Correct? Take a note of this. And remember why this is, because RBI noticed that this organization Talk Charge, they have been issuing wallets to the customers through their website and application Talk Charge without even receiving the required authorization from RBI under the provisions of the Payments and Settlement Act of 2007. And what are these PPIs? PPIs are basically instruments or wallets which, when you have to use them, you can recharge them and use accordingly. For example, your Metro card, right? Once your card is made, and whenever you have to use it, you recharge that card and use it. So it is a kind of a PPI. Correct? And the cash holding limit of these PPIs is limited to 50,000 rupees per month, and this is the overall limit of PPI. Correct? Then there are two types of PPI you need to remember. One is a small PPI, right, that is issued with a minimum detail, usable at specific merchant locations, no fund transfer or cash withdrawal. There are two small types of PPIs, right, in this. There are PPI up to 10,000 rupees and PPIs up to 10,000 with no cash holding facility, and PPIs with 10,000 with cash holding facilities. Correct? Then second one is your full KYC PPIs. The PPIs are issued after completing KYC of PPI holder, and these can be used for purchase, fund transfer and cash withdrawal, and its outstanding amount should not exceed 2 lakh rupees here. Correct? Coming back, PPIs, we have seen these are the instrument that facilitate the purchase of goods and services, correct, enabling remittance facilities, and it can be issued by bank or non-banks. The cash holding limit for is 50,000 rupees per month, and bank and non-bank entities will be allowed to issue PPIs in India after obtaining necessary approval from RBI under the Payment Settlement Act of 2007. Apart from this, if we talk about Infibeam Avenues, right, or if we talk about first IIFL Finance Limited, right, RBI has directed IIFL Finance Limited to cease their operation and sanction of disbursal of loans, right. So that means gold loans, they cannot disburse gold loans now. Correct? And RBI has directed IIFL Limited to stop giving disbursing of the gold loans with effect from 4th of March 2024. If we talk about Infibeam Avenues, remember Infibeam Avenues Limited, this is Gandhinagar Gujarat based company, and they have received the authorization from RBI to operate as a payment aggregator. Correct? Then if we talk about JM Financials Product Limited, RBI has barred this Mumbai Maharashtra based JM Financial Products Limited from financing against shares and debentures including the sanctions. Correct? With immediate effect from 5th of March. Right? So these are some of the information that you need to remember. Apart from this, here you can see it is your RBI that has directed Gurugram Haryana based fintech firm Talk Charge Technologies Private Limited to stop the issuance and operations of their PPIs or wallets and refund the balances that were in the wallets within 45 days, that is by May 17. Correct? And we have seen PPIs. What are these PPIs? These are the wallets, or we can say product that can store value and use when we require them. And there are two types of this, small PPIs and full KYC PPIs. Next is REC Limited secured a green loan of 3,250 crore rupees from which organization to finance green projects in India. So REC, earlier known as Rural Electrification Corporation Limited, they have secured a green loan of Japanese yen, that is of almost 3,250 crore rupees from which organization? It is from which organization? It is from SACE, SACE, right? SACE, remember this SACE is your Italian Export Credit Agency, correct? From them, they have recently secured a loan of 3,250 crore rupees. Apart from this, remember, MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, provided a 9,000 crore rupees loan to Exim Bank of India after Government of India guarantees on the decade-old loans extension to African countries. Apart from this, Asian Development Bank, they have raised $5 billion in dual tranche global benchmark bonds to propel development initiatives across Asia and the Pacific region. And if we talk about JBIC, that is, remember, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, here NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, they have signed a pact with JBIC for sourcing loans worth 1,650 crore rupees, that is equal to $200 million, and that is equal to 30 billion Japanese yen. And if we talk about REC Limited, that secured a green loan of this 3,250 crore rupees, this is equal to 60.5 billion Japanese yen, right? And it was from SACE, and SACE is an Italian export credit agency, and this was to finance green projects in India, correct? And 80% of this is guaranteed by SACE under green push strategy, correct? Take a note of this. Then remember the loan facility. This is a first of its kind collaboration between an Indian entity REC and Italian Export Credit Agency SACE. Also, this marks the SACE's first Japanese denominated loan transaction and the first green loan transaction in India. This will set a benchmark in the Indian public sector for green financing transactions. Apart from this, the green loan witnessed the participation of various banks across Asia, USA and Europe, that included Bank of America, Citibank and KfW IPEX Bank. Apart from this, under this facility, SACE is committed to support projects in renewable energy sector, green mobility, green efficiency that will enable sustainable long-term growth in India. If we further talk about REC Limited, who is the chairman and managing director here? Vivek Kumar Devangan. Headquarters is in New Delhi and it was established in 1969. Moving on. Next, which fintech company has recently launched an offline UPI based scan and pay service that enables users to scan QR codes for payments directly from their bank account? So recently it is Cred. Cred is that fintech company that has launched an offline UPI based scan and pay service that will enable the users to scan QR codes for payments directly from their bank account. And Cred has aimed to encourage their users to use the app to scan QR codes at high-end retail stores such as supermarkets, restaurants, beauty salons, fashion outlets, etc. Correct? Then if we talk about this, the merchants can opt for various terminal types that includes portable device, kiosk, dynamic QR code display powered by a Razer point of sale and Pine Labs. Apart from this, the terminals are available at portable pocket from or kiosk for high traffic areas, and the retail offline payment here initiative follows successful pilot at large store formats, enhancing convenience for both merchants as well as the customers, right? Then if we talk about Razorpay Software Private Limited, correct, that is Razorpay. This is an online instant payment company that has launched their own UPI infrastructure. They have launched their own UPI infrastructure. So question can be asked that which is the organization or company that have launched their own UPI infrastructure and what is the name of it? It is UPI Switch. Correct. And this was in partnership with which bank? It was in partnership with Airtel Payments Bank. Then next, remember Amazon Pay. Correct. If we talk about this, as per the data released by Financial Express, Amazon Pay in partnership with NPCI, that is National Payment Corporation of India, is set to introduce their credit services on UPI. Then if we talk about PhonePe, Singapore Tourism Board, they have signed a 2-year memorandum of understanding, right? 2-year memorandum of understanding with PhonePe to promote the usage of UPI for Indians traveling to Singapore, right? Take a note of this. Apart from this, friends, here you can see Cred, they have launched offline QR code based scan and pay services for the users so that they can scan QR codes for the payment directly from their bank account. Next is, which bank has recently partnered with HCL Software for digital transformation? So it is SBI, State Bank of India. They have recently entered into a 5-year agreement with HCL Software, that is the software business unit of HCL Technologies, to digitally transform their customer interaction framework. Right, and they will be using this HCL software, that is HCL Unica platform. HCL Unica platform will be used of HCL software by State Bank of India in order to transform their customer interaction framework, right, to provide better services to them. Then this will also facilitate complex multi-channel digital marketing campaigns, enhance customer engagement, precision, and so on. If we talk about Bank of Baroda, it is one of the India's leading public sector bank, and they have introduced a special retail short-term deposit scheme that has been named as Bank of Baroda 360 term deposit, and it is for various residents, non-residents, senior citizens, and it is for 360 days. If we talk about DBS Bank India, DBS Bank India Limited announced a collaboration with Startup Tamil Nadu, that is a nodal agency of Tamil Nadu, to foster entrepreneurship in Tamil Nadu. And if we talk about Yes Bank became the first Indian bank to execute an export finance transaction on International Trade Financial Service platform of RXIL. Correct, that is RXIL Global IFSC Limited. This is a subsidiary of Receivables Exchange of India Limited. So Yes Bank, it became the first Indian bank to execute an export finance transaction on this International Trade Financing Services platform of RXIL. Take a note of this. Moving on. Next is NIPFP, that is your National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. They have released their FY24 data. Correct question asked here is that they projected India's FY25 data to be what? So they projected that India will be growing between 7.1 to 7.4% for FY25, that is for 2024 to 2025. Right? Take a note of directly. Then apart from this, remember Asian Development Bank, they have raised the India's GDP growth rate. Asian Development Bank, they have raised it from 6.7% to 7% for FY25. Then if we talk about Moody, they projected that India's GDP will be growing by 6.1% in 2024, correct, from 7.7% growth that they recorded in 2023. Then if we talk about IMF, International Monetary Fund, headquartered in Washington DC, they have projected that and they have raised India's GDP growth rate by 0.3, that is by 30 basis point or 0.3%, and it has been 6.8% now, and they are this is for FY25, and they have also projected that India will be growing by 6.5% in FY26. Apart from this, friends, remember in FY24 states experienced robust capex growth. Capex is your capital expenditure growth due to substantial transfers from the center, and this central transfer showed a negligible growth at 0.7%. Correct, that declines in night state. If we talk about Kerala, it was minus 43%. For Bihar, it was minus 30%. For Karnataka, it was minus 23%. For Maharashtra, Punjab, West Bengal, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu, and so on. Correct. Also, the share of construction in the overall GVA, that is gross value added, has risen since FY21, when it was 7.85% to when it was the GVA, that is gross value added, was 7.85% in FY21, and now in FY24 it is 9.13% in FY24. Correct. Here NIPFP, they have highlighted the downward risk to the forecast, and they have included the government consumption expenditure compressions and subdued the private consumption growth. Apart from this, Asian Development Bank and Fitch Ratings, they have forecasted India to grow by 7%. Here you can see the data, right? That is Asian Development Bank, they have projected, and Fitch Ratings, they have projected to India grow by 7%, whereas IMF and S&P Global Ratings, they have projected, even Morgan Stanley, they have projected to India grow by 6.8% in FY25. Correct. If we talk about NIPFP, that is National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, here who is the chairman? Chairman will be Dr. Urjit Patel, headquartered New Delhi, and it was established in 1976. right? Take a note of it. Moving on. Next, who has been recently appointed as the member of the National Statistical Commission? So tell me, who has been appointed here? So remember, recently National Statistical Commission has appointed Ganesh Kumar and Devashish Kundu and Devashish Kundu as their members. Take a note of this. Let me show them in the picture. Ministry of State and Program Implementation has appointed A. Ganesh Kumar and Devashish Kundu as the member of National Statistical Commission. Now the total strength of the members of the commission including chairman is 5. If we talk about Ganesh Kumar Kundu here, first of all, let's talk about this National Statistical Commission, right? So National Statistical Commission was constituted by the Government of India through the resolution dated on 1st of June 2005 based on the recommendations of the panel headed by C. Rangarajan, the former governor of RBI. At present, Rajiva Lakshman Karandikar is serving as the part-time chairman of this National Statistical Commission. If we talk about Ganesh Kumar, right? Ganesh Kumar is a professor at the Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research in Mumbai, Maharashtra. He previously served as the regional advisor at the United Nations Economic Social Commission for Asia Pacific region in Bangkok, Thailand. He also worked as the research fellow at the International Food Policy Research Institute in New Delhi. Apart from this, he was also a member of the Advisory Committee on the National Account Statistics. He was a member of the working group of the 77th round of the National Sample Survey conducted by NSO. And he has also undertaken various projects for the Government of India. He was awarded with the Commonwealth Fellowship by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in 2001 and 2. And he is also the recipient of D.K. Desai Prize presented by the Indian Society of Agriculture Economics in 1999. If we talk about Devashish Kundu, he is currently working as a professor at the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur, UP. He was elected as a fellow of the National Academy of Science India in 2001 and later he was elected as a fellow of the Royal Statistical Society London, UK in 2003. Apart from this, he has been awarded with the CL Chandana Mathematics Award from Canadian World Education Foundation in 2004 and he is also the recipient of famous Professor P.C. Mahalanobis. I repeat, he is recipient of the famous Professor P.C. Mahalanobis Distinguished Educator Award presented by the Operation Research Society of India in 2017. Right? So these are the two new members who has been appointed as the member of the National Statistical Commission and the total members now here is 5. Right? Take a note of this. Apart from this, if we talk about Rakesh Mohan, right? The World Bank has appointed Rakesh Mohan, who was the former Deputy Governor of RBI, as the member of Economic Advisory Panel of the World Bank Group. Then if we talk about Manoj Panda, remember Government of India has appointed economist Manoj Panda, who is the former director of Institute of Economic Growth as a full-time member of the 16th Finance Commission of India. And Panda was appointed as the 16th FC in lieu of Niranjan Radhaksha, who is the executive director of Artha Global. Then if we talk about Rajiv Gauba has recently Ministry of Law and Justice has constituted a 6-member committee and this 6-member committee will be working towards the granting rights, providing them rights and also working so that the community, that is LGBTQ committee, do not get harassed or their rights are preserved within their community and no discrimination is happening with their community, right? For this 6-member committee was formed and Rajiv Gauba is the chairman of this committee. Correct? Moving on. Next is who recently appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan. So who has been appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan? Mohammad Ishaq Dar has been appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan. If we talk about Azali Osmani, he has been re-elected as the President of the Union of Comoros for a period of 5 years and this will be his 4th term. Correct? Then if we talk about Sakesh Masra, President of the Transformers Party and former opposition leader, was appointed as the Prime Minister of the Republic of Chad. Right? If we talk about Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif, he has been sworn in as the Prime Minister of Pakistan for the 2nd term. Right? Moving on. Here you can see Pakistan's Foreign Minister Mohammad Ishaq Dar has been appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister here. Next is which country topped the medal tally with 8 medals at the 2024 Hyundai Archery World Cup Stage 1 held in Shanghai, China. It was our India that has secured the top position here with a total of 8 medals. Right, take a note of this. So India secured a total of 8 medals, out of which 5 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze. This was the 2024 Hyundai Archery World Cup Stage 1 held in Shanghai, China. South Korea secured second position and Spain here secured the third position. If we look at the medal tally here, right, it will give you a better insight. Here you can see India on first with 5 gold, South Korea on second with 2 gold and Spain on third position with 1 gold. Apart from this, if we look at the winners here, right, if we talk about gold medal, here you can see Jyoti Surekha Venan, right, has won 3 gold medals. First in the women's compound individual category, second here you can see in the women's compound team, and third here you can see Jyoti Surekha Venom in the mixed compound team. So she has won a total of 3 gold medals for India. So take a note of this. This is important. You should definitely remember this. Right? Then apart from this, friends, here you can see some other winners for gold. For silver, such as Priyansh and Deepika Kumari won the silver medal. Ankita Bhakat and Dheeraj Bomadevra won the bronze medal here. Right? And here are the winners for the gold medal. Right? Coming back, friends, here you can see India topped the medal tally with 8 medals, 5 golds, 2 silver and 1 bronze during this championship held in Shanghai, China. Right? Apart from this, if we talk about some other countries' victory, say for example, if we talk about Asian Shotgun Championship, China secured the first position here with 13 medals, 5 gold, 6 silver and 2 bronze. In this Asian Shotgun Championship, here Indian contingent won 8 medals and here India was ranked 5th in the medal tally with 8 medals. Right? Take a note of this. And China secured the first position here with 13 medals. Then apart from this, if we talk about Indian boxing contingent in the boxing event, here remember in the Youth World Boxing Cup that was held in Montenegro, right? It was the 33rd Youth World Boxing Cup. Here Indian boxing contingent, they have won a total of 26 medals. And who topped in this Youth World Boxing Cup 2024? It was won by Russia. Russia has topped the medal tally here with 8 gold medals. Then if we talk about Islamic Republic of Iran, right, here we are talking about the Guangzhou Asian Para Games 2022, right? They were held in 2023 in the October month and Indian contingent here finished with 5 medals, whereas Iran secured the second place with 131 medals, whereas China topped the medal tally with 521 medals in the Guangzhou Asia Para Games of 2022 that were held in Guangzhou, China in October 2023. Next, name the BJP MP from Karnataka and former Union Minister who passed away in April 2024. So he will be V. Srinivasa Prasad. Correct? He is a BJP MP from Karnataka who passed away at the age of 76 in Bengaluru, Karnataka. Take a note of this. Right? If we talk about Aziz Qureshi, senior Congress leader Aziz Qureshi, who served as the governor of Uttarakhand, UP and Mizoram, passed away at the age of 83 in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Manohar Joshi, former Chief Minister of Maharashtra and former Speaker of Lok Sabha, passed away at the age of 86 in Mumbai, Maharashtra. And India's oldest parliamentarian and founding member of Samajwadi Party, Shafiqur Rahman Bark, also passed away at the age of 93. Correct? Take a note of this. Apart from this, if we talk about him, he first contested as the independent candidate in 1974 in Karnataka. Then he joined the Janata Party in 1976 and later joined Congress in 1979. Before joining BJP in 2016, he had a stint with Janata Dal and Samanta Party. Correct? Stint as MP and Union Minister, if we talk about him, he represented Chamarajanagar constituency as MP for 6 terms, that is from 1980, 1984, 1989, 1999, 1991 and 2019. Correct? He served as the Union Minister of State in the Ministry of Commerce, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution from 1999 to 2004. And
representing Congress. He was elected as a member of the Legislative Assembly from Karnataka in 2008 and 2013. Correct? Apart from this, let's move on. Next is World Day for Safety and Health Work is annually observed across the globe on which day to raise awareness about creating safe and healthy work environment. So this day is observed on 28th of April, right, to raise awareness about creating safe and healthy work environment. This observance of the day for the World Day for Safety and Health at Work observed on 28th of April with the theme here that you need to remember, ensuring safety and health at work in a changing climate. This is the theme that you need to remember for the same. Correct? Then further on 7th April we observe UN World Health Day. Correct? And the theme here or the basic initiative was here my health my right. Then 29th of March, remember, it is 20th of March, right? On 20th of March we observe World Oral Health Day. Then correct, if we talk about 16th of March, on 16th of March we observe National Vaccination Day, right? That is your National Immunization Day is also observed on this day on 16th of March. Next, World Dance Day, led by the International Theatre Institute, is annually observed across the globe on which day? So it is 29th of April that we observe World Dance Day, right? Take a note of this. And this day is basically observed to celebrate the art of dance and basically to promote the culture and ethnic boundaries of the people and also to connect with culture. Right, this day commemorates the birth anniversary of French dancer and ballet master Jean Georges Noverre. Correct, he was from 1727 to 1810 and he is considered the inventor of the ballet dance or the dramatic ballet. Annual observance of the day, that is the World Dance Day, is led by ITI, that is International Theatre Institute, that is the world's largest organization for performing the arts. Then if we talk about 27th of March, we observe this day as World Theatre Day. Correct? 27th of March. And World Dance Day on 29th of March or 29th of April. Then on 20th of March, we observe World Day of Theatre for Children and Young People. Correct? And October 28th is observed as International Animation Day. International Animation Day. Take a note of this. So friends, these were your important current affairs for the day. Now let's go for a quick one-liner revision. It is one of the most important segment of this video that is liked by all the students. First is DOPPW launched integrated pensioners portal of the Bank of India. India's gem and jewelry sector received AEO status from Finance Ministry. Highlights of the 26th World Energy Congress held in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. RBI kept FDI investment limit in the government securities unchanged at 6% of the outstanding stock for FY25. RBI has directed Talk Charge to stop PPI wallet issuance and refund the balances. REC Limited secured 60.5 billion Japanese green loan from SACE, that is an Italian export credit agency. CRED, they have launched an offline QR code based scan and pay service. SBI, they have partnered with HCL Software for digital transformation. NIPFP, they have projected India's FY25 GDP growth at 7.1 to 7.4%. A. Ganesh Kumar and Debashish Kundu appointed as the member of the National Statistical Commission. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Mohammad Ishaq Dar appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister. India has won 8 medals in the 2024 Archery World Cup Stage 1 held in Shanghai, China. MP from Karnataka, ex-Union Minister V. Srinivasa Prasad passed away. World Day for Safety and Health at Work observed on 28th of April and International Dance Day on 29th of April. So these are your important current affairs for the day, friends. That's all for the day. If you find the session interesting, do like the video and comment below and let us know what are your views for the same. Doing this will motivate me to make better content for you in the long run. Next is, friends, our revision section. That will be very beneficial for your learning.
Name the portal that was recently launched by the Ministry of Electronics and IT and National Internet Exchange of India to advance the vision of digital inclusion. It is BhashaNet. Right? BhashaNet is the name of the portal that was launched by the Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology and National Internet Exchange of India to advance the vision of digital inclusion. Option 3 is right here. The portal was launched during the Universal Acceptance Day. Universal Acceptance Day India event, and this was held on 21st of March. Correct. And the location where was this held is Dr. Ambedkar International Center, that is in New Delhi. And this Bhashanet, the aim here is to create multilingual internet where local language website names and email IDs work seamlessly everywhere. Right. And the event was held under a theme. You need to remember the theme, that is Bhashanet, impetuous towards universal acceptance. I repeat, that is impetuous towards universal acceptance. Next, in which city ISRO conducted Pushpak reusable launch vehicle autonomous landing mission? So, ISRO recently conducted Pushpak reusable launch vehicle autonomous landing mission where? In Chitradurga, Karnataka. In Chitradurga, Karnataka, that too in the ATR, that is Aeronautical Test Range in Chitradurga. The landing is the second of the series of the experiments conducted by ISRO at ATR, with the first mission being RLV LEX 01, and this was 02 that was conducted in 2022 or 2024, right, at ATR in Chitradurga, Karnataka. Next, name the personality who has been recently selected as the India's flag bearer for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. So, Achanta Sharat Kamal has been selected as the India's flag bearer. Now tell me who has been selected as the torch bearer from India. Abhinav Bindra. He is from shooting, correct? And Achanta Sharat Kamal has been appointed as the flag bearer for Paris Olympic Games 2024, and torch bearer will be Abhinav Bindra. Correct. Here only, if I ask you who has been appointed as the chef de mission. Chef de mission. So, Mary Kom has been appointed as the chef de mission for the Indian Olympic contingent. Next is, which bank along with NPCI, that is National Payment Corporation of India, has recently launched a RuPay Smart Keychain, that is Flash Pay for contactless national common mobility card? It is Federal Bank, right? Federal Bank along with NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India, launched RuPay Smart Keychain. The name is Flash Pay, right? And it was for contactless national common mobility card. Next, name the personality who has recently been awarded with the Abel Prize for mathematics. Abel Prize is basically your Nobel Prize in the field of mathematics, correct? And recently, who is the personality who was honored with the Abel Prize for mathematics? So, Michael Pierre Talleyrand, correct? He is the person and he's a French mathematician, correct? He's a 72-year-old mathematician who was awarded with the Abel Prize. Then remember, he is the 27th recipient of the Abel Prize and also the 5th Frenchman to be honored with this Abel Prize. So 72 years of age, 27th recipient and the 5th Frenchman to be honored with Abel Prize. Next, who has been recently named as the Prime Minister of Portugal? So, Luis Felipe Montenegro Cardoso de Moraes Esteves, right? He has been recently named as the Prime Minister of Portugal. And he succeeded whom? He succeeded Antonio Costa. Antonio Costa. Next, name the personality who has recently won the men's singles title at the World Table Tennis FIDE Beirut 2024 held in Lebanon. It is Satya Ganeshkaran, correct? He is the personality who recently won the men's single title at the World Table Tennis FIDE Beirut Cup that was held in Lebanon. Location is also important. Where was it held? Lebanon. right? And Santhiya Ganeshkaran has won the men's single title here, and he became the first ever Indian player to win the men's singles trophy at a WTT feeder series event.
Next is our homework section. First, in April, FIFA announced a partnership with which country's state-owned oil company Aramco. Second, which country has recently launched the first of the 8 Hangaur-class submarine built for Pakistan? Third, name the country that has recently introduced the world's first private submersible super yacht Migelo M5 for visionary billionaires. Next, which company or corporation has celebrated their 54th foundation day on 25th of April 2024? And fifth, how many member countries are there in the Asian Development Bank? So these are your 5 homework questions, and I need to see maximum participation from all the students watching this video.
That's all for the day, friends. I hope you enjoyed the session, and you can follow us on the YouTube channel, as well as apart from YouTube channel, you can go and follow us at Affairs Cloud Telegram channel. And if you have any queries related to the content or the of courses offered to you or the payment which you did on the application, you can contact us on the number provided, that is 7677333862. Apart from this, friends, you can follow us on the Facebook as well as on Instagram handle, that is affairscloud_official. Also, students, you can use code VIKAS10 that will give you extra 10% discount on the courses that you will purchase.